Hey everybody, Kyle Goth here from GoatFilmReviews.com and the Goat Film Reviews YouTube channel, and I've got my first reaction to the new animated film directed by Mike Mitchell, Kung Fu Panda 4. This is the fourth theatrical film in the Kung Fu Panda franchise. It's also had a number of television series and some short films as well. In this film, we're following Po as he is basically being asked to find his replacement, as he is getting, I guess you could call it a spiritual promotion. He's looking for the next person who's going to take over as Dragon Warrior in his absence so that he can move up in the world. Or in the afterworld, the above world, whatever it's called. Basically, this is a little bit more of a slimmed down film compared to its predecessors. You know, the big thing about this one is we don't actually have the Warriors 5, which have been mainstays in the franchise for the past 3 films. They appear in mostly silent cameo reveals. And I think maybe it was because they couldn't afford to pay the 5 actors to come in and not do much. And I think there was just kind of a decision to move them out of the film and kind of focus on something different, which I actually think was a smart decision, because I don't think that their absence felt... It didn't feel like we were missing out on the Warriors 5. It didn't feel like they were necessary to the story. And we don't spend enough time in Po's home in the Valley of Peace for us to really notice their absence. In their stead, we have Awkwafina, who does voice a new character, Zhen, a fox, who basically is a thief that we don't know if we can really trust, as they also take on the Chameleon, who is a shape-shifting chameleon creature, sorceress, who is capable of taking other people's powers and absorbing them. And so what we have here is kind of like a little bit of a I don't know, coming together of all the villains, because this sorceress, who's voiced by Viola Davis, is pulling other people out of their purgatoriness and stealing their powers away. So we actually get a chance to see Tai Lung, the original bad guy from the original film. We get kind of other appearances from the other villains of the franchise. So it kind of feels like a culmination of what's come before, so that we can move forward. And it has been said that this would be the first part in a second trilogy of Kung Fu Panda films. And so that makes sense to me. The film feels like a return to form, whereas I really like the look of 2 and 3. I think, I believe it was Jennifer Yu Nelson. She did a really great job directing those films. They look fantastic. But their stories did also feel like they weren't as impactful as I felt like this film ended up being. So while I don't know that Mike Mitchell over directs it, he usually does some I think he does some interesting things in the film. And I think as a director, he's pretty solid without having the excessive aggressive style that Jennifer Yu Nelson had for those other 2 films. But I do think I liked this one more than the previous 2 installments, maybe more than the first one as well. None of these movies are movies that I'm gaga for. None of them have been on my top films of the year. In fact, I watched 2 and 3 for the first time this year to prep for Kung Fu Panda 4. So outside of that, I haven't had a lot of must-watch nostalgia for this franchise, but this is a really entertaining, stylistically intelligent, and very, very beautiful-looking adventure film that I think gets right what needs to be. This franchise, much like the How to Train Your Dragon franchise, kind of start by doing this comedy thing, and then they find that the heart and the world building and the fantasy that's at play is actually better than most of the sillier jokes that are at play, and they kind of elevate beyond that. It's actually what a lot of the DreamWorks films have kind of ended up going in that direction of, let's focus on the fantasy elements over the comedy elements. And I think that's something that this franchise has done progressively with each film, making it a franchise that I think I've felt more akin to. They've gotten comfortable with what they're doing by this 4th installment. So I quite enjoyed this movie. And I think it's definitely worth checking out. We've got a really great year for kids' movies overall. Not kids' movies, I guess. Animated films that are family-friendly, if you will. And I think I see this movie. I see Inside Out 2 being movies that we're going to be talking about the style that is being done with those films, I think, for a good number of years in the animation world. So even though I don't think this is the greatest film ever made, it looks so good, and it's something that I have to recommend to people who are looking for just a generally solid fantasy adventure film, which is what this is. So let me know your thoughts on Kung Fu Panda 4 down below. Did you miss The Warriors 5? Did you feel like... I think it's called The Furious 5, actually. Did you miss The Furious 5? Let me know down in the comment section if their absence killed the movie for you or not. Or if you thought like me, like, yeah, it's okay that we move along from them when we don't need them in the story. Yeah, let me know your thoughts on the film down below. In fact, give me your ranking of the Kung Fu Panda films. There's only 4 of them, so you got some time. Let me know down below what you thought about the movie. I'm so happy that you had a chance to join me for this quick first reaction. You can find goatfilmreviews.com for my many written reviews. You can find Goat Film Reviews on Facebook. You can follow me personally at Almighty Goatman on Twitter, Instagram, Letterboxd, and Threads. That's 4 things. Like the Kung Fu Panda. You can also find my show Kyle and Nick on Film that I co-host with Nick Plotachuk from the St. Paul Filmcast. We have new episodes of that show every single week. You can also find in the description of this video a link to the Minnesota Film Critics Alliance for critics' reviews as well as mine on a number of great new releases as well as classic films. I love checking out that webpage and just seeing what my fellow critics have been contributing to the conversation. Thank you so much for joining me. While you're here, let's like and subscribe really quick. They really help out the channel and you never miss new episodes of the show as they drop. Thank you so much for joining me and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.